Welcome back again, guys, from Tampa Bay. Wow, the parking lot for that little tiny water park here is packed. They're actually parked along the street here on US 19. I'm on my way up on this very hot 95 and rising degree day up to Spring Hill, which is just before Weeki Wachee, and I'm gonna have some fun test riding at least a couple bikes. It is that time and I'm ready to purchase another bike. No, I'm not replacing my FJR. I just want something different. I have no complaints about this bike. This is a beautiful, perfect bike for me. I can't say enough good things about the FJR. If this is something you're looking for, believe me, most people are going to absolutely love it. But the problem is, it's almost too good. Wow, totally squidding, no shirts. I can understand it though. You know, I have to say, I'm definitely a Floridian now. Even though it's 95 degrees, about 60% humidity, I'm not even sweating. It doesn't even bother me anymore. That's pretty scary. So, the bike I'm looking for, it's got to have some character. Okay, this one is great. I mean, it does everything I tell it to. It does 1 up, 2 up, it does faster than anyone ever needs to go and gets there in a split second. It's comfortable. I mean, you know, it's perfect. But I want something smaller, lighter, slower, just for me, no luggage, no passenger, something that just puts a stupid, shit-eating grin on my face every time I look at it. That's what I'm looking for. Don't really have a specific budget in mind. I don't have even a type of bike in mind. Maybe it's going to end up being something classic. Maybe it's going to be something that's brand new out. Maybe it's going to be a cruiser. I don't know. All I know is I'm not buying anything without test riding it. I've done enough test rides to realize that you need to test ride your bike to make sure that you can live with it, make sure there isn't any real showstopper about it. Because I'll tell you what, I lucked out when I bought my first FJR. You know, couldn't do a test ride. Didn't exist back then. In fact, you couldn't even find them in dealers. Special order. And luckily I loved it. But man, after doing so many other test rides over the years, just for fun, there have been a number of bikes where after that test ride, I'm like, wow, I would never buy this, and I wouldn't have known it without test riding it. You know, there was something about it. Just something that I could never have lived with, or it just plain didn't fit me. Something like that. So, take my advice. If at all possible, test ride a bike before you buy it. I know, unfortunately, that isn't always the case. And I've already started to run into that. I started today just reserving test rides and looking to see what is available that I might be interested in around me to do a test ride. So this morning, I was really shocked that these guys got back to me as quick as they did. This morning I sent out a bunch of contacts from company websites, you know, book a test ride, that kind of thing, for those that had it. And this dealer I'm going to now just happens to be the same one for Royal Enfield and for Triumph. So I want to test ride a Bullet, and I'm going up to test ride a Bonneville. I know, not exactly the same kind of bike. Big single versus twin, and there's a couple $1,000s difference between the two, but you know, they're both very classically styled small light bikes. So they are both on my radar, and I've never ridden either one. Never really looked at them up close, so I'm definitely going to check them out. Other things I'm considering, and this isn't a closed list, this is just things that are immediately things that I want to check out. The new Vulcan S from Kawasaki. I took a look at that and did a video on that, not a test ride, but an overview and everything at the AIM show, at the big bike show last fall. That really impressed me. Beautiful looking bike. Tons of modifications that you can do to it, customizations. That's something I'm looking for also. I want something that I can really play with, change things out, you know, kind of like Harley. But the ability to do a lot of different stuff with. The FJR is great, but there's really not much you can do to it other than swap a couple parts or add on complete third-party things that don't really go with the bike. So that's something I'm looking for, and certainly the Bonneville and the Bullet series has that covered. I mean, there's all kinds of different stuff you can do to those, and it's fairly inexpensive to do. Vulcan S, man, everything from the factory. You can change a whole bunch of stuff on that thing. The Suzuki TU250X, it's on my radar, but I don't think it's going to be for long because I don't think anybody has it available for a test ride. As far as I know, looking on Suzuki's site, at least around here for 250 miles, there are no test rides available for any Suzuki bike except a dual sport, which I have no interest in. So, like I said, no test ride, no buy. That's too bad. You know, a lot of other people are offering test rides as a normal thing now. They have a couple bikes set up at the dealer specifically for test rides. They're not using new inventory and, you know, ruining it for somebody else. It's totally understandable that that a dealership would not want to have a bike used for a test ride and then not purchased. I would not want to be purchasing a bike that somebody else test rode, because frankly that means the engine is not going to be broken in properly if that person flogged the heck out of it. I'm going to be respectful. If I happen to get a bike that is, you know, still in break-in period, I'm not going to go crazy on it. I'm not going to treat it like an actual demo days bike that's ready to go and you can ride it as you please. But you can't count on anybody else doing that. So if I was going to buy a new bike and I look down at the odometer and it said 30 miles on it, I know somebody else has taken that out at least once. And I'm going to say, no thank you. I will take one actually new. Thank you very much. So what else is on my radar? Well, I'm not exactly sure. One that is, I don't really think it's going to be viable, but I want to give it a shot, and that's one of the new Zero electric bikes. I've been trying to schedule a freaking test ride for it. There is a dealer about 75, 80 miles away or so. Not real close, you know. I don't expect them to have good dealer support. That's not an issue though. I mean, it's an electric bike. How cool is that? But a little more expensive. They start at like 13 grand for the basic model. I think the one I'd be interested in is more like 16. Again, not out of the realm of possibility, but not what I'm really looking for. However, you never know. I might test ride the thing and it might just blow my mind and be a must-have. I don't know. So that's why I have to test it out and try it. But that's not at the top of my list right now. And it, honestly, looks-wise, it doesn't do anything for me. They are very utilitarian looking. The Royal Enfield, that's an example of one that just looking at it in a picture or a video, it puts a stupid grin on my face. The sound of it especially, that big 500 or so cc single making that big thump, that is just awesomely fun to me. So I am excited to test ride that one and really get the feeling for it. Hopefully it fits me. You know, I'm a big guy, 250 pounds, 6'2", decent size inseam. I have no idea if this bike is designed for people 4 foot tall in India or what. I don't know, but we're going to find out. The Triumph, I think, has a little bit bigger frame. I'm not really concerned about fitting that. But, hey, it's all new to me, so I'm just going to have some fun. So I've got about another 15 minutes or so to go straight up here. Just got out of all the traffic. Now we're into this nice divided highway. And I'm very glad they finished construction. This was one lane for the longest time. So I'm just going to enjoy my little ride. And I'll get up there to Motorcycle Enthusiasts. I'm going to meet with a salesman, Dean. And my appointment's at 1:30. Running a tad bit late. Ran into a hell of a lot of traffic. Nothing I can do about that. So I'll pick it up when I get up there. Wow, did I botch that up? I overshot by 30 miles. Here's Homosassa Springs. For some reason I thought it was by Homosassa Springs. No, it's not. Not even close. You can tell I don't get up here that much. There really isn't that much here to go to or anything, but stupid me didn't have my GPS on because I thought I knew where it was. So I'm going, I'm looking at the clock and the GPS said 45 minutes, which would have given me about 15 minutes to spare because I like getting places early. It's very unlike me to be late. If that happens, something's wrong. So I'm looking at the clock and it's on an hour and a quarter. I'm like, okay, something is really wrong. Either my GPS screwed up or I screwed up, and of course I screwed up. So I've obviously put on the GPS here now. and I had to double check it to make sure I had stuff entered right, because I'm looking at it and it says 30 miles in the opposite direction, which is, I mean, something's really up, because it said the dealer was only 20 miles from my house. I know it's not 10 miles in the opposite direction. So I don't know. Either way, I just called them. Obviously, I'm about 15 minutes late for my appointment time, and I hate it when people just no call, no show on me. So, you know, I apologized to him and told him I made the stupid mistake, and I'm on my way, and I'll be there in about 45 minutes or so. So he said no big deal. He didn't have another appointment this afternoon anyway, so luckily that still worked out. Yep, stupid me. Found it. What a ride. On the plus side, it is a lot closer than I thought it was. Alright, I'm going to go and find Dean, check out some bikes, do some videos for you guys. Well, I still have the GoPro problem. It now has done it twice to me today. I almost lost the Royal Enfield review. I started it, and just now I was talking, and it did it again. This is my second recording for ending this video. That is a little disheartening. But I had a lot of fun today. Learned some things that surprised me. Number one, I really like that Triumph. Number two, I really don't like the Royal Enfield. I thought it was going to be completely the opposite. I'm going to snitch right through here. That really surprised me. I thought I was going to go into that loving the Royal Enfield from everyone I talked to and videos and pictures and all that, and it just didn't do it for me. There wasn't anything in particular that I didn't like per se. It had its own character, but I think the big thing for me was not being able to easily go on this road right here on US 19. Going on 19 or 54 or any of those kinds of roads that are surrounding me, I mean, I don't have a choice. If I lived somewhere where it was all rural or all slower roads, that would be different. But I just don't have a choice but to hit these kinds of roads to get anywhere. And that Royal Enfield just would not cut it. Pure and simple. I would be run over if I was even doing 55, which is the speed limit here. I'm going slow now because there's no traffic around me and I'm just talking and chilling out, but that's not an option. Traffic here moves 65, 70 miles an hour. And if you do it on the Royal Enfield, your hands are going to be numb in 2 miles. That's not a figure of speech from the vibration, just from the nature of the bike and the engine. So that's no good. Can't do that. Well, as far as this GoPro problem, I'm just going to have to obviously work around it. At least most of the time it happens right at 7 seconds. So all that means is when I start a clip, I watch until it hits 8 and then I start talking. Okay? No big deal. I can live with that. I'm annoyed that I don't know what's causing it, but that's only because I like to figure things out. Not a huge deal. I will just have to remember that every time I do a segment. That's all there is to that. But very happy that I got 2 reviews out of this day. I'm going to continue my search. I still have to hear back about the test ride for the Vulcan S, the Kawasaki. I am looking forward to that. I'm very much looking forward to test riding the Zero bikes. However, I am not betting at all that I'm going to buy one. This is just for fun. Number one, they're twice as expensive as anything else here I'm trying out. And number two, it's really not in the category of what I'm looking for. I think those are going to be phenomenal performance, and I'm not looking for phenomenal performance. I'm looking for good enough performance. And even that Triumph was more than good enough. That was very good. Like I said in that review, if you watch that when it comes up, that had more power, more usable power, and more speed than my Harley 883. Much more. So Definitely not a bare bones bike by any standard. However, here's the big difference between those two bikes and why I'm really kind of not excited about the Triumph. It's the price. You know, the Royal Enfield, you're talking about $5,000 MSRP. The Triumph, you're talking about $9,000 MSRP. That's for the T100 that I rode. Now there are some incentives, he said, of $1,500 out right now, so that brings it down into the, you know, $7,500, $7,600 range. That's still a big chunk. That's big enough where I'm not excited about spending the money on it. $4,000 or $5,000, okay, that's cheap enough where if I had loved that Royal Enfield, I probably would have just bought it. But another $2,500, really got to think about it. You know, I'm not cheap, but I am frugal. I don't waste money, and I certainly don't have money to waste. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money on just a toy, and that's all it is. It's not primary transportation. I have this bike to do absolutely anything I want on. I'm just looking for something to have some different kind of fun on, and my magic price point for that, $7,500 to $9,000 is certainly above that magic point. I don't know where that is, but that's just my gut reaction, my first instinct. Too much that I want to spend, even if I had to love the bike. Don't need it. Don't need it, so I just want it, and that's a little bit more than I want. So I'll just keep looking. Something will come up. You know what? Maybe there's something used that'll come up. Maybe there's going to be a used Triumph that I'll find, a used T100, a couple years old. That one they had actually better prices on the new ones because of the incentives. So, you know, that's not very much incentive to get it. But they haven't changed them in forever, so it's not like I need any kind of real current model anyway. But at least now I know how they ride, so I can do some more research and go from there. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm going to head on home. It is really stinking hot, 98 degrees and climbing. Whew, still humid. And I am hungry and really thirsty and probably a little dehydrated. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.